Folks, I've spent a lot of time on researching American history and primarily the second half of the 20th century. And, I came from the 1960s, literally. And in numerous polls, the 1960s were voted the most tumultuous decade of the 20th century, not only here in the United States, but globally. Now, take this into consideration. With all these, Nazi law enforcement that we're dealing with, and Nazi feminists, and, all this hardcore disciplinary rule, and, no margin for error, and if you even speak out of turn, you're looking at trouble, right? Well, consider this. 3 of the last 4 presidents of the United States were born, ironically, in 1946. Obama was born in 61. But Bill Clinton, George Bush, the sequel, and our current leader, Donald Trump, were all 3 born, ironically, in 1946, the year after World War II ended. Now, when you're looking at the 60s, 63, President Kennedy was shot, 65, Malcolm X, 68, future president, Senator from New York, Robert Kennedy, Martin Luther King, peace activist. Medgar Evers in 1963 in Mississippi, he was a black civil rights activist. You look at all these assassinations, and those 3 presidents would have been somewhere around 17 to 22 years old when all that was going on. And if you know your history, Peace, Love, Dope, and all the songs that came from that era, and people putting flowers in the business ends of rifles and protests and everything else. But yet 3 of the 4 presidents that we've had in recent years were born and raised and living in those years of a time where there was so much civil unrest and political assassination and bad government and shit that was going on. Corporate America had a hand in killing those aforementioned people too. So I find it very hypocritical that we're living in a time where we're being governed in recent years by the very era of the people who rose up from what they thought was, tyranny, tyrannical government, big business, their parents, they fought back. And now Americans are fighting back in their own way for the injustices of senseless brutality and crime and violence and the cost of living and unemployment and, other personal issues, which, they're there, but, sexual discrimination and gender equality. To me, those may be relevant, but they kind of take a back burner to the big picture, And, we're pissed off in this country, and we have every right to be pissed off in this country, okay? We are getting fucked in every orifice of our body. So, let me tell you something, ladies. Before you go out and get a restraining order or file charges or do something, unilaterally against some guy or, some bunch of horseshit nonsense for some kind of retaliatory action by other family members or whatever, why don't you look at the big goddamn picture, and what's really fucking important, instead of going on these little campaigns and crusades. I think everybody needs to take a good, long, hard look in the mirror at themselves, myself included. and say, how much more of this shit are we going to put up with? Are we going to put down our differences and find our commonality in one another? And I think if we put down our petty grievances and differences, we are going to find unequivocal truth that all of us agree on certain grounds and formats where we are getting totally screwed over in this country. And it's no matter longer of turning the other cheek or trusting God. God is not going to help you in the mortal text. We're on our own with this shit. Okay? No celestial being is going to come from the sky and say, hey man, we're going to take from the haves and rightfully give back to the majority, which is the have-nots, and balance the scales. Okay? This is shit that we are going to have to sort out for our fucking selves. And the sooner we see this, and the sooner we accept this, and the sooner we unify and get together, right? The better off we're going to fucking be. All right? The government and big business and big pharma are doing everything in their power to keep us divided. The last thing we are in this country is united. This isn't the United States of America. At minimum, it's the divided states of America. So we better get it together. Thanks.